All right. So, like I said in the last video, these types of problems give you a situation and ask you to code one or two methods of the class hierarchy. But when we do it, right, as part of our problem sets, I want you to code everything, right? So that means code the class, code the driver, code the toStrings, code everything, right? Make sure it works, because if you don't have a driver, then, well, if you don't have a driver, then you can't test the methods to see that they work. And then you need the toStrings in the classes in order to check that the output is, to check that the instance variables of the classes are what you think they are. So I want you to do all of that, right? So then we're over here. Let's see, where am I? Okay, so we're over here. This is like the music downloads question, right? So we have a music downloads class and we have a download info class, and then you have to have a driver, right? And what is the driver going to do? It's going to create a music download object, and that's going to create download info objects, and then we're going to need to print things out to see that everything works correctly. So like I said earlier, the best strategy when you look at this kind of a problem is to read it, understand the classes, understand the methods, and then try to put it all together. And the first step after reading the problem is drawing out the class hierarchy, right? So we come over here, we have two classes, music downloads, download info. Okay, when you first look at it, you have no idea what's going on, right? You just know you have two classes. So write them down. All right. And then you're going to look a little closer and say, okay, well, this class, like every class, is a set of variables, right? We call them instance variables or fields. And so the next step would be to write down those instance variables or fields, right? And we could see here for music downloads, it's an array list of objects of type download info. Okay, great. So let's write that down. And then for download info, we have two regular fields, regular variables, one for the title, one for the number of downloads, right? So then you're looking at this and you're just like, okay, well, who's composed of who, right? Well, music downloads is composed of download info objects. So this would be, I guess, like higher on the hierarchy, right? We would have an arrow coming from this class to this class. And then over here we have an array list of download infos, right? And download infos are a set of variables. Each object is composed of a title and a downloads variable, right? And so if we look at this array list that has 3 elements in it, I put 2 little boxes in each one, right? Because in each element of the array list holds a reference to a download info object, right? Basically contains a download info object, but in reality contains the memory location of the download info object, right? That's what's meant by reference, right? We have an array list of references to objects, meaning we have an array list of memory locations to the object, right? But the way that I like to think about it, and the way that you probably think about it, is that we have an object here as the first element of this array list. We have an object here as the second element, and an object as the third element, right? But when you read it, you will probably see them talking about a reference, right? And so it's just the same concept, just they're being more exact. So we draw this out, right? We've got 2 instance variables here, we've got 2 instance variables here, 2 instance variables here. Each of these guys is a download info object, right? So, okay. So then, yeah, that's the first step that you want to do, right? And then once you got that in your mind and you kind of understand what's going on there, then it's easier to go back here, read this, and see what is happening, right? And code it. And then, yeah, I guess I could stop there, right? So first strategy is read, then draw out the classes and the instance variables of the class.